The Yakuza series is almost 20 years old, I checked. With every new installment brings in new stories, regardless of the quality, new locations from Japan, characters, activities, and the rest. But I don't care for all that. I'm in it for the tunes. Music changes constantly over the span of a year. Whatever is the sound of the year is something composers or musicians will replicate. And with this franchise being damn near 2 decades old, I checked. It only makes sense to rank all of them. Hell no, this video would be too long and I'm not editing all of that. To make it easier for myself, I'll rank the final boss tracks. And I will be rating these based on 3 things.
And we're doing this outside, because fuck you, that's why. So here we are in the field of Arkansas. I don't know where I am. And also have the script written down on notebook because I'm not memorizing all of this. Also, yeah, I'm blind. And I also realize it's difficult speaking to a mic like this, so I'm going to have to switch up the mask, but it's going to ruin a bit later. Look. At this point in the story, Kiryu and Haruka found Yumi, but Nishikiyama comes up and tells them how he wanted the 10 billion yen to become the chairman of the Tojo clan. Essentially, he doesn't need them anymore. Now, there's a lot to take in here. The strum of the guitar mixed with the violin could be a representation of Nishiki and Kiryu. So I'm going to go with that. The guitar being Kiryu, being present throughout the whole song, even after all he's lost up to this point, he is still here. Nishikiyama being the violin, popping in every now and again, but never changing the rhythm. This is Nishiki following his own orders, going his own way, but at the very end, he never gets the last note. Me personally, I'm a fan of the more wilder side of the Yakuza OST. There isn't anything wrong with this, but it feels samey. It becomes boring after a while. But as it stands, it's okay. So far in this jumbo story that is Yakuza 2, well, Kiwami 2 in my case, I didn't finish the PS2 version. I'm getting to it. Kiryu finished off what's left of the Yingwu Mafia, is on Camaro Tower, getting ready to go up in flames with Ryuji. But like real men, they fight to the death or until the bomb goes off. A sense of panic, yet it's in a soothing way. Going back to the instruments representing characters, in this sense, Kiryu could be either the guitar or the piano in this scenario, but let me say it could be the same thing for Ryuji. Both of them are dragons that hold strength, respect, and honor. Kiryu doesn't care about the title that much, but to Ryuji, it's everything. As he sees it, if he becomes the Dragon of Tokyo, he's won. So it's not like it's a shift in dynamic, more so everything around them has shifted. What I'm trying to say is that Kiryu and Ryuji are somewhat the same, but everyone else is the shift in the dynamic. Now, I didn't experience the original song, and no, you can't just listen to something with no context given. That's not how that works. But since I only listened to the remake, I can only judge that. Coming from Yakuza 1, you get a sense of a soft, calming peace, but with a sense of urgency. Now I quite favor this one over For Whose Sake, only because there's just more going on with it. At the same time, it's not as wild as I would like it, so that's just personal preference. I won't drop it down and let it grade. It's a good song.
桐生さん、これがあなたの最後の戦いです。思いっきり来てください。言われなくても遠慮はしねえ。とことんやってやるぜ。行くぞ。桐生！
Kiryu found Daigo, the missing chairman. However, standing in his way is a confused yet determined Mine. Now, depending on which side of the fandom you're on, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to talk about it here because it's not about that. Mine sees his friend, his mentor basically, instead of being, well, a vegetable. So he thought he'd mercy kill him, spare him the pain. Kiryu tells him though, he can't do that. A mix of chaos yet in an orderly way, with the harmony being the only space to breathe. Apologies, this is what happens when it's winter. It's like 4 o'clock. The full game tracks include the piano and it ends with the piano. So in this case, I could say Kurohyo is the piano. It's a familiar instrument and sound, but later gets subbed out for a guitar. Kurohyo was settling down with the orphanage and being a foster father to all these kids. But he can't have what he wants. So he goes from something peaceful to aggressive. Piano to guitar, you see what I'm doing here? Well, if that's Kurohyo, then what's Mine? I'm gonna say Mine is everything else. Depending on how you look at it, Mine orchestrated everything. Daigo getting shot, that probably wasn't his plan, but from buying out the orphanage to Black Monday, that was all him. He basically got Kurohyo to come out of his retirement to turn him into that intense guitar. We did it. This is our first S on the tier list. You got the intensity, the occasional breaks of harmony, fire, just a complete fire. You can listen to the song in public and people will go, "What song are you listening to?"
One thing of note, this scene is different. I'm filming it at home. It got too cold. Anyway, I got myself in a bit of a pickle in this one. Not only do I have to remember the story of Yakuza 4, I have to listen and interpret 4 different songs. This will be as accurate and as quick as I can possibly make it. The sounds of 4 Faith split into 4 different stories.
ほう、すごいね。俺に初めて出会った時からその覇気があってくれりゃこんなことにはならなかっただろうに。
もう時計の針は戻らないんですよ。後悔しても始まらない。
ああ、来いよ。行くぞー、秋山ありゃ
Akiyama and Arai, old friends, turn against each other for a sense of greed, a sense of power, old loyalty thrown to the side so they sell it, at least with some dignity. Now it's a bit confusing. Akiyama himself could be represented by the guitar, something that doesn't make a presence throughout the song, but when it does, he makes himself known. Akiyama holds a reputation as Kamurocho's moneylender, someone who has upwards of 100 billion yen in his safe. He's not important until he needs to be. And when he is important, he stands out amongst everyone else. In this instance, we're talking about the song. Arai, standing in as everything else, is someone who wanted to take control and become untouchable by the Yakuza or either by the law itself. He wanted to be a present force, something that stands tall. But in the end, the only thing that remains is the guitar. I'm just gonna rapid fire all these rankings. This is fine. 4 Face is fine. Underwhelming.
秋山さんの店であの金を見た時チャンスだと思ったんです。冴島さん俺に言ったじゃないですか。極道のチャンスは一度きりだって。俺は今感じるんです。今がまさにその瞬間だってことを。
そうか。なら俺がちゃんとお前の思い受け止めたるわ。
しっかりお願いしますよ。
ああ、手加減なし。死ぬかもしれへんけど文句言うんじゃない。ええな。はい。ほいや起動。
Sajima and Kiddo. Sajima, an old Yakuza legend whose rise to the top came from being a hitman, and Kiddo, who wants to be taken more seriously, so he goes to Sajima so he can learn his methods and then surpass him. This version is confusing to decipher who would be who in this song, what would represent what. So I'll just say this is both characters being somewhat the same. The violin solo could represent how Sajima, a brutal hitman, has some humanity left in him even after 20 years. Or Kiddo, someone who wants to take charge or be taken more seriously throughout everything that's happening. For Face, compared to For Faith, this one's a bit better. Not by much, but it goes after it, and that's what I'm saying.
「
What?
さあ、
What?
行くぞ。
What?
来い。俺が登場界という大門の重さ、きっちり体で教えてやるぜ。
行くぞキリー。
Kiryu and Daigo, leaving the responsibility to someone who was never taught or knows the experience of running a Yakuza clan. The most we get to see from Daigo is in Yakuza 3, and then most of that he's in a goddamn coma, so we don't know how he operates anything. Now, he made a decision that he thought would help, but it helped no one but the opposition here. So Kiryu teaches him the responsibility it takes of being a chairman of a Yakuza by punching him in the face. I mean, yeah. Now let's take back to Yakuza 3. Kiryu, represented by a piano, coming back, a familiar sound, to set everything right. Once again, the interesting part about Four Face is that the piano isn't substituted out or replaced. It's still the same. It's still consistent. Now, as for Daigo, he could be everything else in the song. Someone who's trying to fill in, step up, and be the best in charge. Daigo doesn't know the half of it. He wasn't ready at all. He did the best he could. And Kiryu came in to sort everything out as a piano would sort out a mess of a song. You get the connection here? Now I've grown to like the piano in Yakuza Final Boss music. I would say it's better than the rest. That's fucked up, man.
それじゃあ現場捜査の時の感覚数十年ぶりに味わってもらいましょうか。
やれこいつは早く殺せ。
副総監いや宗像静四郎お前の野望はここで終わりだ。覚悟しろ。
Tanimura Mirakata, a corrupt police chief who lied to get to where he is by betraying those around him. Tanimura, a man who isn't clean himself, but he knows when the law has its limits and justice must be served. Now, this might be a cop-out here, but for Tanimura's song, For Faith, it's a bit hard to represent what's what. So instead of listening to the instrumental, we might as well use the one with actual lyrics. At this point, Tanimura can see what unnecessary violence can lead to. A death of an unexpected man, a mentor turned enemy, a loved one. Well, Yasuko wasn't Tanimura's sister, but you get the point. Now in Mirakata, this man is committing ultimate treason, and he's getting by using everyone around him. So he's getting by being a menace. Now the instrumental is good, but the one with the vocals, that's where the soul is at. That's what makes the song better than the others. So as For Faith instrumental stands, it's alright. Now, here is the problem with Muppet from Black Panther. This song was created from a Japanese punk band, Rise. This was not created for this game, so therefore they're talking about something else not related to the game. Now Sega bought the rights to the song and had them made an instrumental track for the final boss, but it's not really something that was made with the game in mind. Technically the song doesn't count, but the lyrics do fit the goated character that is Yukio Tatsuya, so I'll use it anyway. Now, my Japanese isn't good, I don't practice it, but after searching for some rough translation, This is what the song is about. This is about a man, Tatsuya in this case, being a muppet, a pawn in someone else's chess game. He wants to be free. Throughout the game, he becomes a realizer. He starts to pick up on people's lies and deception because he, in fact, was a blind man. This song is about Tatsuya seeing who he really is. This song is about Tatsuya trying to find himself in a sea of deceit. To make it less sense, he wants to be this is a stretch, a hole in the bucket. Esther, what more needs to be said? So right now, up until this point, Sajima was looking for Majima, the brother who he thought died. But in terms, he wasn't dead. He was just captured under someone else's control. So in the terms of a song, this could fit as a familiar sound, but it's not the same as it was before. Receive and Slash You is a song with a familiar melody. It's not the same sound. The melody that's Receive You the prototype is Majima himself. The same Majima who went silent for almost 2 years and no one has seen him since. This is the same face but a different man, a broken man, changed man? Nah, that wasn't it. I'll just stick with the modern man. Sajima, same with Yakuza 4, could be represented as the guitar and the piano. He saw there's no other way out of this and goes and fight him. That piano break is a moment of remembrance. Essentially, he was still his brother at one point. He can't just do something that moronic, so the way I see it, he's trying to straighten him out. He doesn't seem familiar. No, this is a fine version of Receive You. I don't have nothing against it. I'm not that crazy over it. It's a hype tracked active. It features my greatest enemy. Electro, EDM, techno, synth. Well, I liked Receive and Bite You, and that has almost the same things. What changed? This one, it shies away from being crazy. Bite You, it just embraces the crazy. Damn. I cannot figure this one out. Shinada and Baba don't really have a dynamic unless you count the fact they're both far from home. They have no idea what they're doing. I guess this song is a mix of confusion and determination. Shinada, he's determined to help out Kiryu, but Baba, he's confused on if he's doing the right thing or if he should be just getting out of there. I say that, but I'm gonna give this song a low A. It doesn't really fit the dynamic or the story, but if it did, it would have been an S. A low A is justified. Oh yeah, I sung this. For the first time, I'm lost here. If I remember correctly, Akiyama and Kanai had some rivalry. It wasn't really significant. It's just multiple occurrences happening, so I don't really know if this fits. I guess you could say this represents the rivalry. This sounds to me like two enemies settling a rematch. This is a cop-out here. I don't think this works well at all. Hold on, I think I got something. The guitar coming back in is not a prominent instrument, but it could represent how Akiyama came back into the story of Yakuza 5. He didn't really have a reason, he just wanted to help out Haruka. Basically, he's someone who didn't want to be forcefully involved, but he got involved either way. So he remains in the back of the track, popping in and out when he's needed, and leaving when he's not. I think I can just give this a B. It's a high B. Even though it doesn't work as a song, I don't outright hate it. Now this is the soul. Too bad Aizawa's character was fumbled, otherwise this would have been peak. Aizawa is a man who devoted his life to the Yakuza. He really didn't, because his father forced him into it. You see, when I start explaining the
it gets confusing. I'm just going to worry about the song. He gave up everything only for it to be ripped from him. The only thing being his one friend who died off screen. You see, when you start just the song, and he was told to move on with his life. He's not going to do that. So this is a song about reaching the top, which is ironic because the song ends on a literal high note. In this, I think Kiryu and Aizawa interchange in between the guitar and the piano here. Kiryu starting off, this is a man who's been through it at this point, and in his final moments, the only thing he can think about is going back home. That's why I think this piano represents Kiryu, someone throughout this whole battle, he thinks about all he's lost, and the only thing that's on his mind is getting back to his family, which he can't have. He's basically stuck in this cycle, but Aizawa wants this cycle to continue, or he doesn't. He just doesn't know why he's there. Just the song. He wants everything to stay the same. He wants to reach the ranks, but there's a sense of a constant struggle in the song. Aizawa and Kiryu. Aizawa is someone who wants to reach the top, but Kiryu teaches him that that's not just something given. It has to be something that's earned. Now, if the story was better, it would have been an S, but as it stands, a high A is understandable. The dynamic works, the story doesn't. So, an A is fine. Anyway, Yakuza 0. So what's the deal with Lao Gui and Majima? Well, besides the fact Lao Gui shot Makoto and he's the sole reason why Tachibana is dead and an overall nuisance, I guess Majima has his reasons for this man not needing to be alive. So throughout the song, you get a sense of urgency, panic, with a mix of adrenaline. This song, the way the song is formatted is that Majima, while he's represented by both the guitar and the violin, interchanging between the two, he's aggressive, but he's remaining self-controlled. He's obviously on the edge here. It's a mix of absolute rage in a more redefined, a containing way. Meanwhile, Lao Gui is everything else, trying to overshadow Majima, get the advantage over him, kill him. Majima remains in control. His anger, that is. The rhythm here is nice, and so is the contrast of the instruments. You got your acoustics with the EDM, techno, dubstep, synth. From now on, anything referring to the techno, EDM, dubstep, I'm just going to call it a synth. So, synth. The synth isn't overbearing, more relaxed. I want to give it an S, but an A, that's understandable. The theme of Two Dragons sounds exactly as its title, Two Dragons, a clash between guitar and violin, and trying to remain prominent, stand out, and one won't be replaced by the other. The aggression of the guitar represents Kiryu's rage after he failed to protect Tachibana and failed Makoto's request of having her see her brother again, and now she's stuck in a wheelchair. Shibasawa, the man responsible for most of it, he's just standing right there. Shibasawa, the man responsible for most of it, he's standing right there. The calming vocal violin, making him stand out. The man wants the title of Dragon. He's willing to go to such extremes for that title, but for Kiryu, the guitar in this case, is becoming so aggressive, ever so vocal, to the point where it's more audible than the violin. He's overcoming Shibasawa at this point. He's not going to let him be heard. He's just going to keep going until he's the only one standing. This song ends with a xylophone. So Kiryu did get what he wanted, but he had to reassure himself. Or it could be represented as Nishiki as someone who didn't want him to go beyond the line. Now I think I can give this an S. The mix of the guitar, violin, complement and compete against each other. Not to mention that solo.
his soul. Yakuza 6 may have its problems. Iwami may not be the greatest villain. The music is good. We can't ignore that. Anyway, Kiryu finds Iwami and his father, who are behind the secrets of Hiroshima, the battleship, and so he just decides to beat his face in. If one thing is consistent, I'm still going strong with these analogies. So you can say it's crazy. No, that's normal. So if you're actually following along, you know what Kiryu represents. Iwami is the violin in the situation. The violin, instead of getting subbed out or replaced, is keeping up with the intensity of the guitar. Now, I mean, we see Iwami keep up with Kiryu throughout this fight. He can't seem to break him. He's still going. He does win, but it did seem like he was going to. The guitar in the song is all over the place, yet the violin tries to keep its rhythm as if Iwami is trying to keep his control while Kiryu is losing his. But interesting to note that at the end of the song, both the guitar and the violin share the final note. Kiryu won the fight, but Iwami got what he wanted, a dead dragon. I don't remember if that's what he wanted, but it's been so long. For the complaints about the gameplay, sometimes the story, Yakuza 6 makes up for it with the music. The score, I can't even be mad with it. The Way of Life is a fire track. You can get a feel of new age music with the synth being used and the acoustic instruments in the mix. It's like a perfect song for a series finale or character finale. You get a sense of everything that Kiryu's been through, what he's learned, experience gained and lost. I have to give it an S. This is soul material.
死んじまったらその時はお前も目えぐってもらえ。
Now I'm going to switch up the styles of interpreting music here. Wow, for the first time since how many games, but this is Judgment, and Judgment is a bit different. Penumbra is probably a horrifying song to some. For me, I don't know. It has a sense of edge with panic, stress, and a little bit of fear. So Yagami has found the mole and he discovered the truth about 89. You think at this point Kurohyo would stop, but nah, he wants the research of 89 to continue so he can keep killing. Yagami is determined to stop him, but Kurohyo is determined to kill again. You hear a struggle of the guitar and the violin in this track, both trying to remain vocal with the synth still playing in the background. It's like Yagami is trying to keep fighting and stand against Kurohyo, who's showing no weakness and still going with more power before. But even a killer knows their limits. After prevailing on the odds, Yagami overcomes Kurohyo as the song ends with the violin holding the final note. I gotta say, Penumbra is the first final boss theme from RGG that sounds like everything is on the line, and the protagonist has a lot at stake. He can't really fail, or these deaths will go unaccounted for. That is a reason why this is an A tier. Now this is peak. Ignore this.
そうこなくっちゃ。そのムカつくにやけ面ぶっ潰して二度と笑えねえようにしてやるよ。
This is what I hear. Instead of just a final boss trying to give his all and not be defeated, Ism sounds like a cry for help and desperation. Work with me here. Aoki had a plan. His ultimate goal was to wipe the Yakuza from the streets, but Ichiban wasn't going to let him get away with that. So he comes up and ruins everything. Now, everything Aoki worked for, it's been torn from him, and instead of just having a sense of anger, it's more somber and sad. There are some emotions here in this track. Symphonic, powerful. I would prefer a more bombastic final boss, but this song isn't about vengeance, so I can't hate it for that, but I can at least give it an A.
Yagami. I think I've said enough. Now I have a problem with Lost Judgment's story, but I won't go too into detail another time. Kawana needs to dispose of the body so the mother doesn't go to jail, so she can wait for her son, who's still in a coma at this point, to wake up. But Yagami tells him justice always and will prevail. Kawana rightfully tells him that the justice system sucks, but Yagami still can't let him get away, so the only way for him to run is if he fights him. Now, even though this fight is about the right and wrong choices people make and how they have to face the consequences, regardless of whatever the outcome is, the song treats it as if the world is going to explode if Yagami doesn't defeat this guy. She's just like, tone it down a bit. The same method with Judgment here. This is a song of desperation and justice. Kawana, who is desperate to keep this secret in this body hidden, is trying to get Yagami to walk away from all of this. Yagami, with his sense of justice, the only way for those students in Sawa to rest in peace is if Kawana turns himself in. There is something that happens in the song. What comes in at full force? You hear the guitar. Kawana is so determined that he'll get away with everything. He is so sure of it. However, that guitar loses the volume. He's later drowned out by that synth, drum, piano, and that violin. Yagami will not allow Kawana to get away with this. He's determined to put him in jail and let justice do the job. But in the end, the guitar gets the final note and Kawana flees the scene. So that justice was never served. This song is insane. I think it deserves an S.
行くぞ白樺来い海藤さん
Well, this is a weird one. Strangely peak, but weird. Kaito has done his job and he's getting ready to leave. Shirakawa, on the other hand, tells Kaito he's going to marry Mikiko if he doesn't do something about this. Admittedly, there's an option to not fight him, but what fun is that? So you just might as well fight him. This is some sort of rock love ballad, the duel of love as it's called. This might be another cop-up with this. The piano and the guitar conflicting with each other throughout the song, as if Shirakawa and Kaito are both fighting for the love of one woman. But the piano leg gets replaced by a violin. Kaito's old feelings are still present. He really wants to win her over. The guitar taking over the piano and the violin shows that Shirakawa could also have feelings and he must win her over. The final instrument closing the song being both the violin and the piano. So I guess Kaito got the strength to win the duel. I don't know. A B, that's fine. A B. Yeah, this might be a clue for a Gaiden if you didn't know.
まとめて首さらしたるわい
Now, Shishido, he is what I like to call Aizawa, if they actually cared about his character and writing. This is a man who dedicated his life to the Yakuza, and he's having everything he worked for being ripped from him. Familiar. He won't go down without taking some lives. You get a sense of anger, rage, violence. When you listen to this, this is a ballad of a violent man whose final objective is just to cause more violence. Now there's mainly two guitars here and a violin. Now let's say Kiryu could represent the clean guitar and the violin. Shishido can be the one with distortion. Throughout the whole song we hear the distorted guitar. Shishido taking charge to throw everyone off at the last moment to show he's not going to back down without bringing the noise. He's going to keep doing what he does. Kiryu representing both the violin and the clean guitar is attempted to overthrow the distortion, but he obviously can't seem to get an advantage on Shishido. There are three instruments trying to drown each other out while remaining prominent as possible. But by the end of the song, the synth gets the final note. This could be the Daioji faction coming in to deal with a minor annoyance. Now, I don't like Gaiden, but I'd be kidding to say if this was a bad song, so it's not a bad song. toxic waste dumping is bad. The first half of the puzzle is right there. The man responsible for trying to kill Ichiban's mother, and so Ichiban must stop him. This man has the presence of like a god or something, but he's just a white dude with slides on. But you gotta give him a song about how powerful and threatening he is, even though if it's over dramatic. You get the chants, the tribal drums, and the synth representing the all power Bryce has over the Pelakane warriors, as they would literally just die for him. The only thing that can overshadow all of that is that violin, which is being represented by Ichiban. The entire time Ichiban tries to get the upper hand, but can't seem to break the rhythm. Bryce has total control of this island, even on Hawaii. But over time, the violin starts to step up in its intensity that shows that Ichiban is applying just enough force to cause Bryce to lose his focus, and he ultimately wins. It's an interesting choice for a theme for a final boss, but for a character like this, I think it fits. I think it does. I'm just indifferent to it. Now, I don't think I'm the first, but I'm just going to repeat what most people have been saying. I think Enba could have worked as an antagonist if they gave him more character and screen time instead of just some Ryo Aoki 2.0. Besides that, the other half of the puzzle is right here, so Kiryu has to deal with it. The way the synth is used here is it's an amazing choice. It sounds like a one last time, like a one final time type of theme. Like this will be the one where Kiryu will finally retire. Now, if you're following along, you already know what instrument represents Kiryu. This time he has additional strings. Both the violin and the guitar can represent how Kiryu, up until this point, he's just ready to call it quits, but the spirit is still in him, so he just keeps going. This fight will end when he has full control, but Enba is stubborn and he won't stay silent, so he keeps up the intensity. Remember that synth? That synth here has a symphonic melody. Enba is in control, and he won't be defeated that easily. However, when the second phase starts, the synth starts to lose the melody while the violin and the guitar grow even more present in the song. Enba is losing control, and he must reclaim it or else he'll never get revenge on the Yakuza. The synth tries to get the melody back, but the symphony is gone. In turn, the guitar and the violin had the symphonic melody. Kiryu has full control, and thus ending Enba's plan. Now, this is another case with Aizawa. If the character was better, it would have been an S. But Enba, he's just a recycled plot twist with nothing going for him except that he hates Arakawa and the Yakuza. I'll put it in I think it deserves a high A. Disappointing, but if the story was good, the song would have been peak.